Welcome to Creating Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Paige. This is an inspirational podcast where guests come on and share their real life stories. They discuss their struggles, hardships, and traumas. They also discuss how those encounters have helped them change, grow, and the healing process they've experienced. They share where they are today in hopes of helping someone else who could be going through the same or similar situations. So join me as we inspire others weekly to become the best versions of themselves. Hey y'all, welcome into another episode of Creating Yourself podcast with me, your host, Paige. Today I have on Kendall. She is a diagnosed narcissist, but she is working through life, figuring out how to handle that, how to work with it, how to cope with it, and she is actively taking care of her mental health on that. Hey Kendall, how are you today?
Hi, I'm well. It's really nice to be here. A little nervous, but otherwise.
Listen, everybody's nervous their first time on. It's totally fine. I was nervous the first time I did one. But I'm excited to have you on because, listen, you hear the term narcissist and you think, oh God, she's a narcissist, and it's that typical instant reaction of, oh God, stay away. But I think it was so important to have you on, and I kind of bugged you a little bit to get you on because I was like, I want to have you on because not only because you are self-aware, you're actively taking care of your mental health and you're actively working on the traits that you're aware of and doing the things to take care of the narcissistic tendencies and the traits that you have and being diagnosed as a narcissist. And you're not just out here being la through life and not aware of it. And I think that's what's really important is most people, the term narcissist is thrown around so much these days and it's so overused.
So loosely. I mean,
right.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think that's what
the
makes
moment that something
Go ahead.
Right. I feel like the moment that something does not go someone's way, especially in a relationship, they're automatically narcissistic. If somebody expresses the fact that they dislike something that you're doing, they're a narcissist. If somebody just may not want to hang out with you or may not like you as a person and they just maybe ghost, they're a narcissist. Narcissist, that word is thrown out so loosely. It's honestly concerning.
It really is.
And I feel like I feel like because people don't even really know what it is. A lot of people do not even understand that it is a mental disorder. Right. It's a disorder. It's not just I'm an asshole.
Right.
It's real. It's real.
Right. So I pulled it up. The term narcissist. Narcissist personality disorder involves a pattern of self-centered, arrogant thinking and behavior, a lack of empathy and consideration of other people, and an excessive need for admiration. So the term narcissist has a lot of I feel like there's this umbrella and then there's tiny umbrellas underneath of the umbrella. And it's important to understand all of those when you're dealing with someone who is a narcissist. But a lot of narcissists do not work on it. They just go through life living as though they don't have it. They're not that. You, on the other hand, and this is why I wanted you to come on and talk about it, is because you are dealing with it. You're trying to understand it and you're coping with it. And you have people around you who are aware that you're a narcissist. And they're, like we talked just a little before we started recording, you described it so well about comparing it to someone who's an addict. And I want you to describe that again, because that was so incredibly the way you described that.
Thank you. So what I will say first and foremost is that a narcissist is derived from trauma. We are not born a narcissist. Just like, well, an addict, you can be born like that because of, prior events from your parents, pregnancy, those types of things. But for the most part, without help, without some type of intervention during the pregnancy of your parents or what have you, you're not born an addict. It's certain things that have led up to that point.
Exactly.
And it's almost the same with a narcissist. Narcissists are not just, they don't just wake up one day and become self-centered pricks. Like, there's some sort of trauma that has led up to that point. And a lot of people don't understand that. And people think that we are just unfeeling, just unremorseful people. And that it's the exact opposite. I cannot express that enough. Like, I am the most emotional person that you will meet. Literally, what you feel, I feel it 10 times over. It's just, it turns into a manipulation tactic for us. And what I was saying earlier, it is very, very hard, number one, to get that diagnosis. Very hard. Because, again, narcissist is just, that word is thrown around so profusely that a lot of people just do not understand what it is, what it means. And so doctors don't take it seriously a lot of the time. So that diagnosis was really, really hard for me to get. It was really hard for me to find a therapist that not only understood, but that even accepted that there is help for it, that there is a path for it. I've genuinely had therapists tell me, just turn me away, genuinely. And that's abhorrent to me. But what I was saying earlier about, being an example of like how it could be almost like an addict lives, is before I could get that help, I decided with the relationship that I'm in now with my partner that I wanted to do it the most healthy and best way that I could, because I just did not want to lose another person in my life. So what I did was, every tendency that I have, I showed her. And it's almost like an addict. If you tell your partner, hey, if I stay in the bathroom too long, this is what I'm doing. If I'm hanging out with these people, this is more than likely what I'm doing. If I'm not picking up the phone at this time, this is what I'm doing. If you show them all of your secrets, it is very hard to keep up that behavior behind closed doors. And that's how a narcissist thrives. Is you cannot be aware, number one, that they're a narcissist. Number two, you cannot be aware of narcissistic tendencies, because if you are, then you don't put up with it. And that's all we get. That's all we have. We're not after your money. We're not after your riches. We're not after your house, your car, nothing. We are after the emotional things that you give us. So what I did is I showed my partner, hey, if I'm acting in this way, this is how you react to it. If I say this, and if I try to flip a situation, don't freak out, but just turn it around and be like, hey, this isn't right. So it just made it very, very hard for me to quote unquote be a narcissist in her presence. Right. It was very hard. But I also am just blessed that I have a partner that when I told her these things, she didn't run in the opposite direction. She loved me enough to try to get through it with me. You know what I mean? So, I mean, and it's definitely a work in progress. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that today is, I mean, hard to find. Like, I feel like, I mean, the number one issue, in my personal opinion, is that because I've met several other people that I'm like, you're a narcissist. But sure. It is like, you cannot tell somebody that. You cannot tell somebody that. It's like, I feel like it's just like, that it's almost like a racial slur to tell somebody that. And on top of that, it's like, a lot of people don't know that they're narcissistic. Like, and how do you fix something if you're not aware of it? If an addict does not feel like they're in active addiction, they're not going to do anything to fix it. Because in their mind, they don't feel like they're doing anything wrong. Right. So, I mean, that's another big thing that when it comes to a narcissist, I feel like 90% of us don't know that we're narcissistic. Thank you, baby.
Yeah, and
sorry, that's my daughter.
No, you're totally good. And another thing I wanted to read off here, some symptoms of being a narcissist is sense of self-importance, entitlement, arrogance, lack of empathy,
Entitlement.
must be admired, can only be around people who are important or special, in interpersonal, explosive of their own gain, and then preoccupation with power, beauty, or success.
Um,
And it doesn't have to
I
be
would
all
say
of
because
them. I
there is
don't
just
feel like
not.
I don't think it has to be all of them
Well, I would
together.
just say because there's
Right.
not. Yeah, I would just say because there's not enough research on actual diagnosed narcissists, that some of
Mhm.
those are just a little off the mark, in my opinion, from what I've
Mhm.
experienced from other people that I've met. Um, I would say a narcissist, from what I could see, I am more likely to meet a total stranger and treat them like they hung the moon than I am my own partner. And that is simply because it is that, I don't know if you've ever heard of love bombing,
Yeah, absolutely.
but
Yeah.
love bombing in the beginning of a relationship, that is like a number one sign of a narcissist, bro. And it is not, it is like people talk about love bombing like it's a hook, line, and sinker. Like we're just trying to get you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's not like that at all. We
Mhm.
genuinely, you hung the moon. Genuinely, you are the air we breathe. You are the blood that makes our heart beat. You are everything to us. But it's just, over time, it's like, meh, almost like you get bored with it. You know what I mean? Like, but I still need that love in return from you. And the moment that that stops, it's almost like a gold digger with money. The moment that that love runs out, I'm gone. I'm gone. The moment that you don't treat me like I still hung the moon while I give you little morsels of myself, I'm gone. And that's something, because I feel like a lot of people think that it's just like I need to feel like I'm on a pedestal, and it's not always that, and I also believe that it's a lot, again, back to the addict situation. I really hope that I don't offend anybody with this,
Right.
but
And
it's
you're not
almost
trying
like
to
the
compare them
different
to
types of
offend.
addicts.
Yeah.
No, 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 not like that. But just that's the only example that I can give. Like you
Right.
might have somebody that is on heroin, or you might have somebody that's addicted to alcohol. So there's different types of symptoms. There's different derisions of where that
Exactly.
comes from and the different symptoms that they deal with. So with a narcissist, I feel like they it depends on what type of trauma you've dealt with,
That
to
makes
where
sense.
mine is, I need that love and that security, and somebody to make me feel safe and whole, and like I matter, like anybody. But I guess I obsess over it a little bit more than most people do.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
a little bit about me. I'm 29 years old. Well, I will be. Oh yeah, I'm 29 years old. I'll be 30 in July. Crazy. um I When I was younger, I was in foster care. I got put into foster care because my mom is an addict, and there was a lot of things that happened in my childhood. I have been sexually abused. I have been sexually abused by people in my family. My mom just did not make the best decisions as somebody in active, very deep addiction. It happens. She wasn't the best parent at those times, and
Hmm.
so those things led up to me going into foster care. I was sexually abused in foster care. I became pregnant. Um, Through that pregnancy, I was abused to the point where I miscarried the child. I did not receive any type of medical care, and I ended up developing a really severe infection. I almost died from it.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
And again, this is back in the day. Foster care is not what it used to be. They used to pay us little to no mind back then, and nothing was ever done about it. As far as I know, I do believe the people that I was stationed with actually still are foster parents. Anyways, that's just a little bit about my past. Not too much into detail, but again, it's just one of those things where trauma, I had no choice but to,
Yeah.
I used I do not have an education. I'm not a high school graduate. I've not been to college. My last grade completed was 11th. And that was very slim complete. I've been to about 13 different schools in between middle and high school.
Oh my goodness.
So I didn't have an education, so I used what I knew. Um, and over time, using what I knew to get what I needed. We're talking food, shelter, warmth. I can remember lights being cut off when I was younger and it being so cold. We had an ice storm. Um, I lived in Springfield, and we had a really, really, really bad ice storm. I mean, it shut everything off. Like, you were literally arrested if they caught you out in a car, unless it
Mm-hmm.
was emergency.
Yeah.
And I remember the our lights were cut off, and I had nothing, and I had to use what I knew to, get whatever I needed to get, and that's how I did it. I manipulated people, and that became narcissism is a defense mechanism. It is a way for me to bring you to me, but me still guard myself and be safe. Like, I could not have all these people in my life getting whatever it is that I needed from them and then love and really care about them in the same manner. And when it was done, it broke me down. I couldn't do that over and over and over and over again. So narcissism, without knowing it, became my way of life. And then over time, it developed into something I could not change. If you develop a tick that you do every single day, it's something that is very, very hard to get out of.
Mm-hmm.
And then trying to recognize that on top of everything, it was really, really hard. And I do feel like, I also have two children, and it is, I do not want my kids to grow up like that. I
Yeah.
do not want my kids to feel like I don't love them the way that love is supposed to be given. I do
Mm-hmm.
not ever want them to feel like, you know, that everything is an exchange. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I want to be better for them too. Like, a lot of reasons, but I just feel like overall it's a very, very common misconception, and narcissists are not always something that you got to run from. We need love probably more than your average freaking person. Like, we have been wounded, we have been scarred, we have been hurt in some ways that people may not even be able to imagine, and it has become a defense mechanism, no different than somebody, a man that does not know how to be in a committed relationship. You don't know his past and what has developed him to be the way that he is sometimes. I mean, it's a defense mechanism, and it's sad that this day and age perceives us like monsters, because that's not always the case.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I've looked up some statistics and all of that sort of thing, and like you said, the cause is very hard to determine
Yes.
why. And that's one thing that what I'm looking at now. It says, the cause is very complex. Narcissistic personality disorder can be linked to multiple things: environment, parent-child relationships with either too much criticism or not enough. It
Hmm.
says they don't match the child's actual experiences and achievements. And it can also be genetics, inherited characteristics such as personality traits. So, like, there's so many
Hmm.
complex reasons that narcissism can develop in a person. And so it's like, and again, I feel like you said, addiction is a very close comparison, because addiction, there's not a set cause. There's such a
Hmm.
complex reason that people become addicts, and it stems from a lot of
Hmm.
trauma. And it seems as
Hmm.
though, I've never, I feel like I've dealt with a narcissistic husband in the past, and it was abusive. And it seems that he was an addict as well. So it seems like, again, they're so close in
Hmm.
comparison that they both develop from trauma.
Hmm. Yes.
And I've
and
never
and I,
looked
I
at it
just feel
that
like that
way.
should be talked about more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
it
I mean,
should.
and I'm not out here saying that because, okay, I'm not going to say that if I had a choice between somebody who has got their life together and an addict, that I wouldn't choose somebody that probably had their life together. So
Exactly.
if you had a
Right.
choice between somebody who was mentally stable and had a
Right.
good mental
Hmm.
outlook and a narcissist, I'm pretty sure you would choose the person that's probably not going to rip
Right.
your soul out of your body. Okay. So I'm not saying that, you know, you should be in a relationship with a narcissist. That's by all means, I'm not saying that. It 90% of the time it ends up being a very unhealthy situation. And another thing that a lot of people don't know, a long-term relationship with a narcissist that has heavy narcissistic traits can cause mental damage. Like
Hmm.
it can it can cause lasting mental effects, brain damage to the recipient. And people
Yeah.
don't even know that. Another thing, being in a long-term relationship with a narcissist can cause the recipient to become a narcissist. That's no different than what you were saying as far as it being passed down from lineage. It's not really like a blood trait. Like, for example, I developed
Mm-mm.
bipolar disorder
Yeah.
because my mom had it. You know, it's
Right.
not something that passes through the blood. It's more of a trait that is picked up. No different than a child being raised. I'm a black woman. If I was raised in China, I might have their language. You know, it's like a
Right.
language
Yeah.
that is picked up. It's like a
Hmm.
trait that is picked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is picked up by what you learn. You're a sponge when you're a child. You grip that stuff up and it's just how it comes out. It's how you raised
Hmm.
in it, so you become that. Um,
Yeah.
a lot of people just, I feel like if there was more research on it and people knew more about it, it wouldn't be such a monstrous thing. You know,
Hmm.
I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to make excuses, and I'm also not trying to say that addiction is the same thing. That I'm not
Right.
trying to
Yeah. I'm
take
not either.
down
Hmm.
the process that somebody in recovering addiction has to go through, because I have not personally dealt with it myself, but it's been in my life, my entire life. Almost all of my family is in some form of addiction. My mom, and she's in active addiction still to this day, and sometimes the recipient of somebody that is dealing with someone that is in active addiction hurts just as much, and it's
Yeah.
just as painful.
It just
And
seems like a very close
you know, I
comparison.
yes, it definitely does. Like dealing with it on my own, and I don't know if it's just because that addiction is something that I've seen so much of, so I automatically just compare the two,
Yeah.
or what it is. But I honestly, well, hello, my dog just decided he wanted to come in. Um, I honestly feel like, another thing, when you are especially somebody that's unaware of it, when you are dealing with being a narcissist and the ramifications of that, I have lost so many good people in my life, like
Hmm.
good, good people, relationships, friendships. I've lost so many people because of narcissistic traits and not knowing what I was doing. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you, I grew up in such a bad environment and having to do certain things to survive, that when I was out of survival, I was still living like it was live or die. And I feel like I treated people in that same manner. And because of that and my bipolar, I developed such a severe state of depression. I have tried to commit suicide multiple times. I've had blood given back to me because I lost so much the last time. I've tried overdosing, and and like that's the part of narcissists that people don't see. It's the part where we struggle too, and people don't see. People don't know that we sit in a room. We don't understand why we're losing. We don't understand why people can't just love us the way that we are. And then that makes it worse because then we start to feel sorry for ourselves, like it's the world, not us. You know what I mean? And it's just a never ending freaking cycle, man. And nobody talks about that part. They always show the part where we're just like in the middle of a narcissistic trait. Like we're manipulating somebody, or we're bringing out emotion in another person. I've seen so many videos where they're like, yes, this is a narcissist, you need to get away from them. If your partner is showing these signs, get away from them, yada yada. But they don't show the signs of, for example, when that person does leave, or even after right after. That's no different than an abusive partner. Like, say somebody, like, you're in a relationship with somebody that hits you, like right after they hit you, they're just like devastated that they could do something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost the same with that. Like, you come down from that and you feel like the world's worst person, and you don't understand why you are that way. And nobody talks about that. Like, I mean, how many people, somebody dies from suicide, like, what, every 3 minutes? Or somebody that is taken from suicide? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't remember, I don't know the exact like statistic, but it's a lot. And I can understand what you're saying, because I feel like I've experienced stuff like that, because like with mom guilt, like you have this instant like mom rage, and you're just like rah, 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 at your kids. And the second that like it all comes down, and you come down from this like anger of like mom rage, and then you put them to bed, and you go to bed, and then you just lay there and you just sob,
Yes.
because you're like,
Yes, it is that.
and then you see them sleeping, and you're like, and
Yes, you
you
little
just,
angel. How can I? Yes.
how can I be so angry at whatever they did was so trivial and so small, that at the end of the day you watch them sleep, and you're just like, you feel like the shittiest human in the entire world. And
Yes.
so I can see that side of it. Like I said, I've been through domestic abuse, and um, I have some experience, I feel like, with narcissistic tendencies with people, but I don't know that I've never dealt with somebody who's been diagnosed narcissist. I'll say that. Um,
Right.
so for me, like seeing the other side of it, like what you're saying, is hard for me. I'll be honest, it is. But I feel like I can understand with like the mom guilt kind of thing. So, but to like see the other side of like, oh, he hit me and now he feels bad. It's like, that's hard for me to see.
Yeah,
I'll be
I'm,
honest.
and in no means, let
Right.
me say this.
No, I
Let me say
know.
this. I
I
am
totally
not
get
by
it.
any means saying that that shit is okay.
Right.
It is not
Right.
okay.
No,
It
I
is not
totally understand what
okay
you're
at
saying.
any point. Yeah, mental
Yeah.
abuse, in my opinion, I would
Hmm.
rather somebody go upside my head. Like, I would rather somebody
True.
go
Yeah.
upside my head than
I've said
abuse
that.
me mentally. And by
Yeah.
any means is that okay? It's not,
Hmm.
because you
Yeah.
genuinely rearrange somebody's freaking thought process, and that is the only thing in this world
Hmm.
that we have that is genuinely ours, that nobody can take. The government, people, nobody can
Right.
take what we have up here. And the
Hmm.
fact that you can rearrange somebody's own thought process is just abhorrent to me. So I am by
Hmm.
no means saying that it is okay. I am
No.
simply just trying to open the door and let somebody
Yeah. Yeah.
see the
Right.
inside. It is
I
not
totally
all
no, I
bad. It
totally
comes from something.
understand what you're saying. No, I totally
Yeah.
get what you're saying. And that's like I said, that's why I wanted to have you on. I wanted to have this like open and honest conversation, because it doesn't happen. And I think that it's really important for people to see that other side, and at least try to understand it. And that's, I mean, that's what I said. Like, I
Yeah.
totally understand where you're coming from. Just being on this side of it is hard, but I understand what you're saying and where you're
Yeah.
coming from. I totally get it. And I think that's what's wrong with this
Yeah.
country and this world, is people are not open and willing to listen and to hear that, and at least try to understand it. And that's what's wrong with the world today, is like, you at least have to have that open mindset, and try to hear it, or you can't heal from anything you've been through without trying to understand all aspects of it. And that's really why I wanted to get
And for
you on
all we
here.
know, I mean, understanding, I feel like that is literally part of human nature.
Hmm.
I mean, let's take it back. Let's take it back. If we think about, for example, somebody that is put on trial for murder, a mass murderer, Before you bet your sweet behind that before they're put to that needle, baby, there is somebody picking and prodding at their brain to see why they did what they did. Understand
Me,
why
I
their
want to know.
brain had them. You know what I'm saying? That
Hmm.
is literally human nature, is to pick and prod and see why things happen the way that they do. Births,
Hmm.
animals, insects, humans. You know that's what we are. That's literally how we live, is to understand why, what, and how.
Hmm.
So
Who,
I
what, why,
personally
where?
feel
Yeah,
like maybe it's the right, yeah, if maybe if somebody hears this, it can help them heal from the trauma that they've been through from a narcissist, to understand that, baby, it
completely.
was never you. It was never you. It was all them. You know what I mean? And the thing is, it, it it's never going to stop until you stop it. And that's another misconception that a lot of people don't understand.
Can you say
I'll
that
never walk
again?
away.
Say that again, because that was
It will
extremely.
never it will never stop until you stop it. You have all the power in a narcissistic relationship. I will never walk away. Ever. I will stay here until you're a husk of the person that you were. The moment that you put a stop to it, it goes away. And that's another thing that people don't understand. My partner has all the power. All the power. I take what she is willing to give and no more. And that is what makes our relationship thrive and continue in a healthy-ish manner,
Right.
because she does not allow me to take more than she is willing to give. She knows her threshold and she does not let me go beyond it. And in that, I continue to try to heal. I continue, when I run into a problem or a situation that I don't know how to handle, I call my therapist and I talk about it. And I also have to be open minded and let somebody tell me you wrong. And there are some situations where I genuinely, in my head, I'm like, I don't understand. I feel like I have a right to feel how I feel, and I have to have somebody bring me down. And I was like, no, girl, that's not okay. How you
Hmm.
feeling is not right. And I have to be able to hear that. And not only do I have to be able to hear it, I have to live by that.
Hmm.
I have to go to my partner and I was wrong. And for years, still to this day, sometimes it's not as
Yeah.
hard. But
Yeah.
when you see them little gigs where somebody's like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Like, it is so hard for me
Yeah.
to
Right.
say I was wrong, you was right, I'm sorry. It is so
Hmm.
hard. But because of that, I feel like when I do that, she takes it like it's a jewel. It's a prized possession.
Hmm.
Like, she knows when I apologize, I genuinely mean that from the bottom of my heart. And
Hmm.
I am not, because I have given her all the power. I've shown her every technique. I've shown her, I send her videos. She sits in on my therapy session. She knows all of it.
Yeah.
So I feel like she, like, not only do I tell her, but I'm trying to show her I don't want to hurt you. No matter the things that I do, and when I mess up, I don't want to hurt you. I want you forever, and I do not want you to become a husk of a person. I do
Yeah.
not want you to be malleable. I don't want to be able to just play with your mind and it just be so easy. I don't want to do that. I
Hmm.
want you to be strong. I want you to hold me accountable. And that's the thing that a lot of narcissists don't want. And when they
Yeah.
run into that, they run in the opposite direction. Like, oh,
Hmm.
I can't play
Yeah.
with your head. I'm gone. And I again, I just want to reiterate the fact that I am not saying that 95% of us gone in the other direction.
Yeah.
But there are a few of us that do try. We do want that help. We want to be treated like a normal person. We want love, we want affection, and we want to be able to give it in a healthy way too. But just, some of us, some of us just need a hand out of that water. You know what I mean? Some of us is just drowning, and people is just walking by throwing sticks and stones. Don't try to reach out and help. And you know, I just I hope that if anything happens out of this, that maybe I touch somebody's heart and help them heal from some of the trauma that they've been through. Either a recipient or another fellow narcissist. I hope that you hear this and know that there is help. And if you feel like you have these traits, go to a doctor, seek help. Like, because you will never have nothing. You will never know. That's another thing that we struggle with is because we do so much manipulative stuff, like because we, bend and mold people the way that we want. It's very hard to see and be with somebody that really loves you for who you are, because they don't know who you are. They just
Yeah.
know what you've shown them. And half the time what you show them is not really you. So, I don't know. There's just
Yeah.
so much around it. I just wish it was a topic that was more talked about openly.
It's I feel like and again, that's what I keep saying it, like that's why I wanted to get you on here and talk about it, because so many people out there, I feel like, they're like, oh, I have experience with a narcissist, or oh, I dated a narcissist, or I'm dating a narcissist, or my mom's a narcissist, my sister's a narcissist, whatever. And it's like, that term is so loosely thrown around anymore. And I feel like there are genuine people that have dealt with a narcissist, or are dating or dated or
Hmm.
whatever. And it's great that, they're they're there, but it's like the people that are like you, that are actively working on living with their diagnosis and making sure that the people around them know what's going on. I feel like that's what's really important. And I think what you said has been like that's so impactful of, you have to be the one to end it. I would have never correlated that ever. So for you to say that, I think is, if anybody listening takes anything away from this episode, it's that you have to be the one to leave the narcissist. Period.
Hmm.
Because they're not going to leave you. And I think that
They're not
is
gonna leave.
extremely powerful, because I think that is the
Mhm.
opposite of what everyone thinks.
It is. It definitely is. I feel like people just think that, you know, eventually they'll just walk away. Like, if and then another thing that I feel like people say is to do them how they do you.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like you fighting fire with fire. Like,
Right. You're throwing
and
gas on
okay, for somebody like me, yeah, in my opinion, for me, at certain situations that I've been in, when somebody does me like that, like I said, you have to think a lack of empathy and stuff. Like,
it. Mm-hmm.
I will agree with that. I will definitely agree with that. I am the type of person that, I'm gonna say this, but hell, I mean, we already own it now, but I'm just going to say it. Like, I'm walking down the street, or I walk outside my house, and the next door neighbors, for example, is into it, and the husband pops the wife in the eye. That ain't got nothing to do with me. That I'm not the one to go over there and try to save somebody. I'm not the one to try to, come here, I got you, just come on in here. That has nothing to do with me. I mind my business. I walk my behind one. I'm back in the house.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, as a narcissist, I can show you whatever I want to show you. I
Mm-hmm.
can walk over there and act like that breaks my heart and come on over here, but it's something that I want from you. It's something that I
Mm-hmm.
want from you. And that's another thing. Like, I'm trying to be honest. Like, I'm hopping on here, and I'm trying to be honest, and
That's
it's one
important
of the
though,
hardest things to do as a
for
narcissist.
people to
It's
understand.
hard. I don't want to say this. I don't want to say this, but I just got to be honest. And it's something that I told my wife. Like, I
Yeah.
have to now, as her being my partner, certain things that she goes through and emotions that she feels, of course I feel bad, and I
Mm-hmm.
want her to feel better, and I try, you know what I mean? But there
Mm-hmm.
are other things like that I don't understand. I feel like you just need to suck up and bust. Like, I just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But that's a that's a thing that I feel like, I will definitely agree with when it comes to some of the things that you look up about a narcissist is a lack of empathy. But do not ever forget that we can show you whatever we want to show you. If I want you to think that I feel empathy for you, you will think it. You will know it. You'll know that I feel empathy for you. But meanwhile, I don't feel a damn thing. I just need something from you. And whatever it is, once I get it, I'll never talk to you again. I'll never speak to you again. And it won't bother me one bit. Like, I mean, I'm just being honest. And that's something that I feel like is also just a part of who I am as a person. Like, I know
Mm-hmm.
that that's a narcissistic personality disorder part of it, a
Mm-hmm.
trait of it, because of the simple fact that It is a manipulative thing, and manipulation is the biggest thing that a narcissist has. A biggest thing. Like, we don't just flip a situation. Somebody at Walmart cannot just tell you that it's the opposite of what you feel. If you go in there and somebody pushes you down and y'all start talking about it, they just make you feel like it was your fault. That's not how it works. Because, like, what? No. It's a manipulation thing. They manipulate you into feeling that way. And we can't do that unless you feel something for us. We have to make you feel something first. That way it's a lot easier because we play on your emotions. You know what I mean? And the only reason that we're flipping things to make you feel like it's your fault is so that you ain't mad at us. Because if you continue to get mad at us all the time, eventually that love is going to go away and you were going to see it for what it is, which means what? You're going to walk away. And then we lose everything. That's the whole reason we're here. You see what I'm saying? So I just, like, you know, a lack of empathy is definitely one of those things, but I just wanted to be clear that that is not how you're going to see a narcissist. You're not going to find them by seeing that they have a lack of empathy, because all you'll see is how much empathy they do have. You know what I mean? We're not going to show you that part of us. That's psychotic. You know what I mean? We're not going to let you see that. Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, that is something that I'm going to mirror for you. Like, I'm going to show you that this is, like, I do care, and I am sorry, and I hate that you went through that. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever. But genuinely, I don't. Like, but that's just that's personally me. Like, I'm just, I feel like in my recovery is definitely for my loved ones and myself, and I do not believe that I'll ever be one of those people that just, oh my God, like, for somebody that I don't know. Now, am I one of those people that's just gonna stand by and let somebody get bullied? Like, if I'm in Walmart and somebody's like pushing an old lady down, like, I'm a helper, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just not one of those people to just throw myself in a situation, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it's just different for me. But I feel like if anybody takes anything away from this conversation, first and foremost, like you said, it's you. The power is in your hands. I mean, a dom sub relationship, like BDSM type of thing, the power is all in the submissive's hands. The power is all in your hands. And the moment that you cut that off, it's done. You know what I mean? And even best advice that I can give somebody that is in a relationship with a narcissistic person that is either undiagnosed, does not know, or if the worst ones that know and they personally just don't give a damn. Just stop everything. Stop everything. Any little thing that you do for them, stop. If you don't have it in you to walk away, you make it to where you cut off that. If we need water to survive, you shut that water off to where we have no source. We have nothing. And eventually, what will happen? Again, I've never seen a situation where they're going to walk away, but it will get so ugly that you'll be able to stop those emotions and you'll be able to walk away freely on your own. Just stop giving. Anything, any affection, stop giving it. If you got to sleep your ass on the couch, go sleep on the couch. If you got to just stop saying I love you when you leave, stop it. You know what I'm saying? We derive off all of that stuff. A kiss before you go, you leave, you know what I'm saying? Or when they fuck up, it don't even matter. Don't even say anything. Just stop. Everything, just stop. Like you got a fucking roommate that you really don't like that be using up all your shampoo and shit. Don't talk to him no more. Just, and eventually you will get to a point where it makes it easier for you to walk away, because the more you take, the more they're going to show you who they are. And nobody is going to be able to stay with somebody that shows them such ugliness. You know what I mean? Like, that's the best advice I can give. And that, you know, learn, do your research. You know what I mean? And I don't mean Facebook and TikTok and all these little people talking about this is a 7 signs that you're dating a narcissist. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about real shit. Real shit, like books, like shit that's going to tell you real things, you know, where it derives from. Learn it. Understand these traits. And then you might even be with somebody that you can show this to them and it they want to change. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's the best advice I can give.
Yeah. Do you think that, I do have a question, like, do you think that controlling someone is a part of being a narcissist?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is another big thing that I feel like I used to do, and a thing that was one of the first things that I refused to do in this relationship, is separate them from their family and friends. Because I can't be trying to mold you how I want you, and you got your mama here like, hey, I don't know what she doing. She ain't supposed to be doing it. I can't have that. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do, is slowly start to pull you away from people. Whether it's, you're like, hey, she's not your friend. That's not your friend. Yada, 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 yada.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's, so you rather go out there with them instead of spending time with me. And you know all those little cute videos where they going out with their boys and the girl's like, oh my God, da, da, da. That's narcissistic. That is narcissistic, but we make it like it's cute. That's cute, right? It's cute that you don't want to hang out with nobody else. It's cute that you separate people from their family and their friends. That's narcissistic. And believe it or not, 99.9999% of people have some sort of narcissistic trait. And just because you have a narcissistic trait or two does not make you a narcissist.
I believe that,
you know what I mean? Everybody does something manipulative or selfish or has a lack of empathy for a certain thing. You know what I mean? There's people out here that don't feel like mental illness is real. That's a lack of empathy. There's people that feel like addiction has nothing to do with your mental. That's a lack of empathy. They feel like it's all their fault. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like that, but what I was trying to say, that is the first thing that I did when I got into a relationship with my woman, is make sure that hey, you need to go see your mama. Go up the road and go see your friends. Invite such and such over. That's something that I have tried to make sure that I do, because that keeps her with some type of outside communication. It keeps her with a second opinion, if you will. You know what I mean? It keeps her able to communicate with somebody outside of me. So it almost helps to keep me in line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's another.
But heck yes. Okay. Control is a big aspect of it. Like, if I can't control what you do, I damn sure can't control what you're thinking or how you feeling. I got to start somewhere. You know what I mean? And if you're willing to let somebody control what you're doing or where you're going or who you're talking to, that ain't nothing but a hop, skip, and a turn away from how you feel. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about it. Let's talk about it. Like, it ain't nothing but a little turn, little smidget away from me just telling you ain't going to feel how you feeling. Or how you're feeling is wrong. Gaslighting is a big thing.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. And I feel like that is... I'm narcissistic. So I know so much about this that it's almost sickening, because I know when somebody is gaslighting me, and I'd be like, man, but sometimes it's hard when you're dealing with somebody that does not know that's what they're doing. Like, man, you try and gaslight the fuck out of me. Like, what do you do? You know, and they're like, what? Yeah. Like, they genuinely don't know. So it's like, but yeah, control is like that, the first step. And usually if you meet somebody that is controlling to the point where they start that immediately, like month number 2, more than likely they're going to put their hands on you. More than likely. If they're doing that right from the beginning, that means that they've done this before. That means that is their goal. They know that they need to separate you. And why are they separating you? You know what I mean? So usually when somebody is trying to separate you from your family and friends, it means that they're going to do something that they know that people's going to tell you off the muscle is not right. And 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to go upside your head. 9 times out of 10. And that's when I was trying to say a second ago, fighting fire with fire. When somebody says, well, why don't you just do them how they doing you? With me, I'm going to put my hands on you. And that's awful. It's awful for me to say, but that's where I go immediately. Because of the trauma that I have been through, that's the only way I know is violence. I don't know how to talk through it. I don't know how to fix it. So when you come at me how I feel like I'm coming at you, or you try to switch up how you treat me, I'm going to just go upside your head. I'm going to just hit you. And then I'm feeling twice as bad, but that's just the result of it. You don't ever do that. That's no, you know, that's never the answer. You know, you don't. In a relationship, you don't fix it by treating somebody how they are treating you. Yeah. That just makes you just as bad as they are. You don't, 100%. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't show a rapist that they wrong by raping somebody else and making them watch or something. You know what I mean? You don't do something just as awful as somebody else is doing to show them that they're wrong. That's not
Right.
how it works. You create a monster within yourself, because if you can't deal with somebody treating you that way, then how could you deal with yourself treating somebody else that way? And you know how it feels. It makes you even worse because you know how it feels. You know exactly how it feels, but you're going to subject somebody else to that just to prove a point. That's
Preach
not
it,
how it
sister.
works.
Yes, preach, preach, preach. Oh my
That's
gosh.
not how, in my opinion, that's just my opinion.
Yes.
Like, and I'm
Yeah.
also trying to save you, because if you meet somebody that is anything like me, we gonna be fighting. You can you just walk away from me. Like, just leave me alone. Don't treat me
Yeah.
no type of way. But
Yeah.
you know,
hmm Yeah. It's crazy to think that like
everybody's different though.
right. It's crazy to think that like you come out of a situation like that and then you go into a new situation, but yet you're treating that same person the way that you got treated. And that's that whole like scenario of don't bleed on people that didn't cut you.
Yes. See, your words are so much more delicate than mine are. I feel like people's gonna listen to this and be like, "What did she just say?"
Yeah.
Just
But
edit me out, girl. Just edit me out, because
no,
I,
you're
I just,
totally good. It's totally fine. Listen, everybody has a different way of saying it and a different perspective, and I think that's what's great about it. But, I think that, again, having you on here and having you as someone who is diagnosed and to talk about it and to help people see that, yes, you're diagnosed narcissist, but you have this understanding of what is going on in your brain and you don't want to put someone through the typical narcissist does. Like you're trying with everything within you to not be that quote unquote typical narcissist. And that's what's important. And I feel like
yeah,
so many more people, like, just if you're listening and this is resonating and you're like, oh shit, maybe I'm a narcissist, like, go, like, figure it the fuck out and stop treating people shitty.
figure it
And
out.
like, it's just, it,
But also, don't feel like because you hurt somebody's feelings that you're a narcissist. Do not, like,
right.
if
Like,
you ain't got
like you said, do your
six or
research.
more of these traits, you know what I mean? Yeah, do your research. Do not, like, because I feel like that's another thing. Like, people run around telling somebody that they're a narcissist or whatever, and then people freaking believe in it and thinking that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
like, that's a whole other damn issue. Like, no, it's
exactly.
like, and like, just do your research. And
hmm
the thing is, look. If you look up and you feel like you're being a narcissist, you may or may not be one. But the bottom line is, don't treat people like that. If you look up and you treating somebody in a manner in which you can't be treated, or you wouldn't accept, or you feel like you would walk away from, then you in the wrong. Nine
Or
times out of 10.
my
You know what I
biggest
mean?
thing,
And the
my
thing is,
my biggest thing is if you have children and you look at your kids and you say, if someone treated my kids this way, I would be in jail or, worse. Why are you treating someone this way? Period.
yes,
Like, end of
yes,
story.
yes.
Stop
And
your
and
shitty
understand, I mean, it's
behavior and,
it's
like,
it's said so many
figure
times.
it out.
Yes.
You know?
And kids are sponges. They are sponges. You
That.
think them babies is not listening. People misconstrue these children for being dumb when they are just children. They not dumb. They just small.
They're smarter.
They're
Listen,
not dumb. They are small. They are
they're
little
not
sponges.
they're not
Sponges.
dumb. They're so much smarter than we give them credit for. Like, I look at my 8-year-old and I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Where?
How?
How? When?
Right.
Like,
Me too.
you're so much smarter than I give you
Like,
credit
what?
for. And it's like, well,
Hmm.
he'll be like, oh, well, I heard it from
So
you. Or,
teach them things that you would be proud
right.
of.
Exactly. Like, we need to do
And
better.
and the thing is, these kids, you may not see it, you may not see what you are teaching your kids, but you best believe when they go on the outside, school, events, other people's houses,
Mm-hmm.
they are showing people these things. I don't know how many, like, that is one of the biggest things that I feel like smack me in my face, is when, like, we bought a house or whatever about 3 years ago, and we have neighbors, and my daughter plays with the neighbor over here, and we had a
Mm-hmm.
couple of issues where we had to talk about it and yada yada, and some of the things that they was telling me, I was just like, That's my fault.
Mm-hmm.
That's on me. Like, she is a reflection of me. So whatever behavior that she is showing these people is because of me. And like that was like the biggest slap in the face. Like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like, another reason why I really dug my heels in. It was like, I cannot continue to live like this.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot continue to look up and wonder who is on my side. I cannot continue to feel like I am breaking people down and leaving them just a mess of who they once were. Like, I just can't. I can't do that. Like, and
Yeah.
and and you know, the, the I just the best advice that I can give somebody, because it is so hard to find a therapist that or a psychiatrist even that is willing to accept or even knows anything about cases like these. The
Mm-hmm.
best advice that I can give you is show your family, your friends, and your partner, show them these tactics. Show them your tactics, which you do that is narcissistic. And it
Mm-hmm.
makes it so hard for you to carry out those types of tactics anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I know when my wife is just like, because she'll just get quiet. She'll just get real quiet and just start watching me.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, I stop talking and I'm just sitting there looking at her and she looking at me and she's like, you fucked up, right? And I'm
Mm.
like, all right. And I just walk away. And then,
Mm-hmm.
cause we can't talk about it right there. We can't.
Yeah.
Cause I'm too high and we just end
Mm-hmm.
it. I walk away. It may be the next day. And she's like, so what happened? And I'm like, you right. You know what I'm saying? This is what I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking and I shouldn't have did that. And you know what I mean? Like, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to say our relationship is perfect because it damn sure ain't.
Right.
I
Yeah.
am a narcissist. I'm
Yeah.
going to still try. I'm going to still wiggle around in there a little bit. And you
Yeah.
just got to, but I
Mm-hmm.
just make it to where it's a lot harder for me to do that. And I feel like in that it has made me become a better person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I feel she has to be held accountable too, because knowing that I'm a narcissist, you also cannot try to gaslight me. You also cannot try to, throw that in my face or, like, or, hold me accountable in saying like, you have to make sure you put me in those types of positions. You know what I mean? Don't just make life easier for me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have to be put in these positions where my tendencies is usually what I revert to. And now I have to learn to navigate that in a different manner.
Yeah.
It's just I that's the best way that I can do it. I feel like me doing this has helped me far more than any therapist ever has. Not
Yeah.
to say that she doesn't, but it's moreover like she kind of just I feel like therapy is just a reflection of what you already said. It's
Mm-hmm.
basically just said back to you so that you can see it. Like,
Yeah.
okay, this is what you just said. How you feel about that? And I'm
Yeah.
like, damn, that's ugly. Like, I can't believe I was thinking like
Yeah. Yeah.
but so
Yeah. I feel like the thing is like
but
putting it to real life experience and the real life work. Like you have to do the work to heal, and that's the hard part. And I think that's what's incredible about you is like you're doing the work and you're actively trying, and that is, I mean, that's all you can do. So I think that's the most important thing.
I pray that like maybe through this I meet other people that are, because that's one thing that I've not found yet. Which I can't say that I'm active, like I'm not in any narcissist groups or anything like that. Like I'm very much like I stay to myself a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's part of my journey. I cannot involve myself with certain types of people. I have to kind of keep my circle small.
Yeah.
But I do one day, I want to meet somebody else that has gone through what I've gone through or something similar so that
Mm-hmm.
they can give, because I feel like that's the best advice that you can get is for somebody that's been through it, you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
But I mean, I hope that this touches somebody. I hope that, somebody is healed or gets on the road to healing because of something that came out of this. I really do. And just that, at the end of the day, you know, we ain't out here with one eyeball on our forehead and a mouthful of shredded teeth or nothing. We ain't monsters. We are regular people too. We
Mm-hmm.
bleed just how you bleed. Like, and know that, we are very, very vulnerable and emotional people. Very emotional creatures. and you can hurt us more than you ever thought you could, like, and just, but just at the end of the day, we people, like,
Mm-hmm.
we don't deserve to be outcast or anything, you know.
Yeah.
By all means, don't ever let somebody mistreat you, but at the same time, don't mistreat somebody else just because, you know, that's no different than, again, with the addiction situation. You don't, go and throw rocks at somebody on the side of the road because you know they're an addict. You know what I'm saying? Or mistreat them because they're in active addiction or whatever the case may be. Like, people are people. We all people. We just all deserve love. You know what I mean? We all deserve some sort of kindness. You just don't let somebody abuse you at the same manner. But in my opinion, I want to say something again. Like, I feel like if you are not capable of showing kindness or giving kindness or being polite without getting used or manipulated or something like that, then that's a problem within yourself.
Yeah.
That's just my
100%.
personal opinion. I mean, you call it what it is, but I just I feel like that is something that is just crazy. Like, you are not nice to somebody because you're afraid that they're going to do something to you. That's crazy. Should nobody have that type of somebody, especially somebody that you don't know? Should nobody have that type of power over nobody?
Yeah,
You know what
I
I mean?
agree.
And if they do, then honey, again, that's a problem within yourself. Like, that's something that you need to work on. You
I
should be able
agree.
to show kindness just like you can go to the grocery store and spend your money. Like, it should not be anything that, that should be a regular freaking thing. And no different than simply being polite and treating somebody with respect should not mean that you are into them, or that you flirting with somebody. That's just regular kindness. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
much of that's how bad, like, it's not shown in this day and age that it's misconstrued to be something else.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I just
I
feel like that shows something that's a reflection of within you, like, in my opinion.
Yep, I
So,
agree.
show kindness. Don't talk down on nobody. Don't treat nobody like you wouldn't want to be treated just because you may know something about them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I agree. Listen, I'm really
but
glad that
do you have any more questions for me?
I don't think so. I'm just glad I finally got you to come on and share your experience and your story. I think this is a great opener for people who may think they're a narcissist, have narcissistic tendencies, like any of those circumstances, to really reflect and look upon themselves, and maybe be like, oh, maybe I need to do some work, um, and
Mhm.
and remember, if you're in a narcissistic relationship, you have to be the one to walk away. I think that
You have to
cannot
be
be
the one to
said
walk away.
enough, because I would have never looked at it
Yep.
that way. So I think that's really important to take away. And
Absolutely.
if you are a diagnosed narcissist and you have nobody to talk to and you don't feel like you can relate to anybody, obviously, if you want, I can put your info in the show notes, and you guys can
I'm
reach
definitely
out
here.
and communicate and talk. And I
Absolutely.
think that's incredible to, I mean, that's what I'm here for. Listen, that's what this podcast is all about for me, is having people on to share their stories, to relate to someone else that's going through the exact same, if not
Yes.
similar situations, to open up the doors
Absolutely.
for communication. So that's what this is all about. So
Absolutely.
I'm really happy you came on
Yeah.
today.
And I mean, even if it's somebody that has been in a relationship with a narcissist, or you think you may be in a relationship with a narcissist, my door is always open. Like, I will say that I am not always quick to respond, and I may forget about you for a day or two. I also have a really bad case of ADHD, and I put things off. But I'm definitely here. My door is always open. Feel free to reach out at any time. You are never alone. Narcissist or no narcissist, depression or no depression, bipolar, no bipolar, whatever you may be dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
you are not alone. There is
Absolutely.
somebody out here that sees you and thinks that you are worth it. And believe you me, that this world is just a little bit brighter because your heartbeats exist. Like,
Absolutely.
just believe it. Like, don't ever feel like you alone. And yes, my door is always open. My name is Kendall. I usually stay, like, the only thing that I really have as social media that I'm actually active on is usually Facebook. But you can always reach out to me on Messenger. I'd be happy to respond. And if there's anything else, I mean, I might be able to come back on another time for something else or whatever, but I was very happy to be here, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry it took so long, but I
Listen,
hope that
it's
we took
fine.
somebody today.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we're here for. But we're gonna leave it on that note because I think that's perfect. So I'm glad you came on today.
All right. Thank you. I hope you have a great day, girl.
Thank you all so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Make sure you hit the follow button on whatever listening platform you are using. And head over to my social media pages and give me a follow there as well. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and now TikTok at Creating Yourself Pod. And if you have a story you would like to share on this podcast, email me at creatingyourselfpod@gmail.com, or you can message me on any of my social media pages. Make sure and come back next Tuesday for a brand new episode. Hope you guys have a great week. Bye.